Hey guys, it's Melissa with Web of Creativity, and I'm sharing with you the Explosion Box Halloween version. It's the 4" by 4" box, and this is the construction video for the box. I'm going to try and zoom in. It's a little hard because of the lights glaring off of my snow globe there. But I used a lot of Tim Holtz products. There are no kits, just a tutorial. But I show you how to make the entire box. So Tim Holtz paper pack has this orange paper underneath and then has this acrylic spiderweb type paper. And then has, I also got the skulls and the pumpkins, and the faces are rub-on pieces, also Tim Holtz. So it's the Halloween rub-ons. Then I have the spider attached to some thread. And then some more Tim Holtz medals and word bands. Alright, now I'm going to switch the camera so you can see the inside of the album. Alright, so I'm going to take this lid off, and the written tutorial is on my blog at www.webofcreativity.net, and again, I do not have any kits for this. So the inside are some tombs, a tomb, pumpkins, and some skulls and moss. So we have each side has 3 pages with 3 tags. So it's a pretty quick and fast project. Definitely can make this for a Christmas album and have a Christmas tree in the middle, or for Halloween. Again, it's really easy, fast, and a smaller version of my first Explosion. It also has, these are just pocket pages, and that's it. The other Explosion album has a waterfall page, pocket pages, and that's it. So let's get started on making the album. We're going to work on the box. So we got 5 lightweight chipboard pieces, all the same size, and 5 black cardstock, all the same size. So we're going to work on the base first. So we take 1 of each, and I've already added my tape to my lightweight chipboard. And because I always add extra adhesive, I'm grabbing my ATG and adding some extra tape. Alright, so then I'm going to use my ruler to find my middle point and attach. And all the measurements are on the tutorial, which is on my blog, and the links are below. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and trim the corners. So I'm going to get my craft mat. Alright, so we're going to trim the corners at an angle. I'm just going to use my ruler, and I'm going to go from the tip of the chipboard over to regular chipboard. I use 1/8 inch. For this lightweight, I just do a little bit smaller, but I take the line and just make it just a little bit smaller from the 1/8 inch line. But if it's 1/8 inch, that's fine too, because we're going to just tuck in the corners anyways. Okay. tape, 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 tape. So we're gonna add, I think I'm gonna use my, I got 3/8 inch tape. I'm gonna use my 3/8 inch tape and add to the flush to the edge of the chipboard. Okay, then take my bone folder with a tip and I outline the edge. This is optional. This I just feel like it helps when folding the paper over. Then we're going to attach 2 sides first. I'm folding a bit of the tape back so we can alright, now that, let me get this to go in just a little bit. Now that we're got 2 sides attached, we're going to tuck in the corners. So we just take bone folder or your fingernail and just tuck in just slightly. Are you going to focus? So we're just going to tuck it in slightly. So you can use your fingernails or your bone folder. And then we'll attach our other 2 sides. And then we're going to attach our other 2 sides, which I think I just said. Alright, that is our base. Now our sides are going to be done almost identical, except we're leaving one edge open. So we're going to grab another piece of chipboard. Add some extra adhesive. Grab the craft mats and trim the corners. Add tape around the edges of the chipboard, flush to the side. Run bone folder along the edge and attach to sides. Tuck in corners. And we're only going to attach one other side, and we're going to leave the other side as is. Alright, so we leave this piece because it's going to slide underneath the base. So that's how it's going to get attached. So the only thing left to do is add our tape to the bottom of this tab. So there we go. And this tape can stay there for when we attach the mat on the inside. Alright, so I'm going to do the other 4 off camera since they're identical. Alright, next we're going to attach our sides. So we're going to attach it at a 90 degree angle, and we're going to line it up. And that's how we're going to do all of them. Let's start off with our first one. Again, at 90 degree angle. We want it lined up with both sides of the side with the base. And then we're going to do that to all the sides. Alright. One more side. Perfect. Flip. Okay. Alright, so there's that. Oops. Let's work on the lid. Alright, before we move on to the lid, let's go ahead and cover these in mats. So what I did, they're all the same size, and then I just made a U shape since we already have a piece right here. So when we attach it, we're going to attach it flush to the edge of the chipboard. And that's it. And then we'll have a little bit of border all the way around. So again, we're going to go with flush to the edge, and we're going to have about an 1/8 border. So again, flush to the edge, and then there's just a little bit of a border. Alright, I'm going to finish these up, and then we're going to flip the book. Alright, got them all covered, and I meant to say flip the box. I actually said flip the book. Alright, so this is our last piece. This is our back piece that's going to cover the bottom. And then I'm going to add some additional adhesive. And attach. This guy also has a border, about 1/8 inch. Okay. All right, now we can work on the lid. So the lid is the lid top and then the 4 sides. So what I drew on my mat, my cardstock, is where I'm going to place my lid top at. And of course all those dimensions are on the tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my tape backing, add some extra adhesive. And then place it okay. So then for our sides, I have a you can use your side piece as a spacer and then attach your side to it, so it has that little bit of space for the sides to fold down. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to remove our tape backing, hold one of our spare sides up against our lid top, and then make sure my side piece is even with the top and bottom of my lid. So there's that piece. Again, hold it flush to the edge. There we go. 2 down. Okay. And then for this last piece, I just have a spare scrap on hand. It's a little bit longer, so I just have to make sure I eyeball it correctly. There we go. And there's our lid pieces, and then we're going to do some trimming. I'm going to go ahead and just run my bone folder across the top of it. We want to make sure we got a good stick. Okay. Alright, next we're going to draw some lines. So I'm going to put my ruler up and we're going to draw 1/2 inch lines. We're going to do it on all of them, all the sides. And then we're going to cut the corners. So the the corners that are right here after you draw the lines, that's what we're going to cut. And then once all of the corners are cut, you're going to cut from the corner that you just made up to the corner of the chipboard. So we're going to do an angle cut. So you can do that on all 4 corners. Alright, next we're going to trim the corners. So we're going to line up our ruler again to that, you know, the 1/8 mark, and then scooch in just a hair And then we're going to trim 2 corners at once. That leaves us these little tabs right here. So again, oh, that's a fairly a lot. Trim it just down a little bit more. Okay, one more side. Okay. Now we got all these tabs. So let's attach the center piece cardstock to cover the center of our lid first, and then we'll add some tape to all of our tabs. Alright, so I added my tape to my chipboard edges on all 4 pieces, and then I'm going to take my bone folder and go around, might as well go around all of the edges. About 4 sides. Okay, I'm done. And then I'm going to attach my centerpiece. Let's go ahead and line that up, which I could have done prior to putting it on the paper, but that's all right. All right, next we're going to attach the sides. And then after we attach all the sides, we're going to go ahead and tuck in those corners with the end of the bone folder or your fingernail or whatever you have lying around. Okay, now we're going to add tape to our tabs here. Okay, I'm going to have to trim that tape, but that's all right. Once I get the first one started, the rest is good because it's already at an angle. So we're going to add tape to all the tabs. Alright, next we're going to attach 2 of our tabs first. Well, 4 on just 2 sides. So the opposite sides, we're going to attach our 2 tabs. So we're going to remove our tape backing and fold over. And And then we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Next, we're going to attach the opposite two corners to the outside. So we're going to line it up, make sure our two sides are lined up evenly, and then we'll fold over and attach. So let's remove our tape backing. Make sure we're at a 90-degree angle. Okay. Line up. So we have our two sides attached, and then let's attach our other two sides. Alright, so we have all of our sides attached. So the next thing we need to do is mat our sides. So we're just going to take one of our little side strips that we have. And we're going to start at the bottom, line it up to the bottom, and then pick up the paper. And that's how we attach our side. So again, we place inside and make sure it's on the bottom, and then we're going to lift our paper up to attach. And you can get your bone folder in there, and there you go. Let's attach the other two sides. Okay, so I got the box lid and the box done. So now we need to move on to the first layer that it gets attached to the center of this box. So that requires a base. So you see on the base I have scores lines all the way around. There's 2 score lines. And then we have our pockets, which also have our 2 score lines. So we have a tab score line and then a middle score line. So for this guy, we're going to cut the corners off. So we have, if you can see, the score lines meet up and then has this corner. So we're going to go ahead and cut all 4 corners off. Alright, then we are going to add tape. Let me just... Okay, so then we're going to add tape to the edge. Well, it doesn't have to be flush, just in between, inside that first score line. Then we're going to fold on the score lines. So we got 2 score lines, so we'll fold on the first one and then fold on the second one, and that's what's gonna get attached. So we're gonna just go ahead and fold on all the score lines first, and then we'll attach them all. Remove the tape backing and fold the piece down. Now we have our little tabs. Next, we're going to go ahead and taper the corners. So that's cutting at an angle up to the score line. So we're going to taper all the corners. Does not have to be perfect. And then we're going to tape. We're going to add tape to our, this one's going to be flush, so we're going to add tape to all of our tabs, flush to the edge. So we want to have it, so we want it flush to the edge, which will leave this little bit of space right there. And we're going to add tape to both sides of the tabs. So once we finish one side, we're going to flip over and do the other. Alright, flip over and do the other side. And again, you want the tape flush to the edge. And then we're going to add tape to the inside. This is going to be the base. So you want, these tabs are inwards, so you want to make sure this is going to be the bottom. So make sure you're not taping this side where the flaps are. So the tape's just going to go to the inside of the score line of the tabs. I'm going to put one piece in the middle. Alright, now that it's done, we're going to attach to the middle of our box. We're going to have a 1/8 inch border all the way around. And of course I'm going to add a little extra adhesive. Okay, so I'm just going to eyeball it the best I can. I want to make sure I'm in the middle. All right, I'm going to be off camera so I can see. Alright, so can you see that I'm 1/8 inch all the way around? And then we need to work on our pockets. Alright, so our pockets, we're going to fold on the tab tab score line and taper the edges. So we're going to cut from the score line up to an angle. So from the score line, cut to an angle. We're going to add our tape to the tab. And so before I attach, I always like to fold it first, make sure it's even. And then I'm going to remove my tape backing and fold it over. And that is our pocket. I'll do one more. So we're going to fold on the tab, taper corners, add tape, fold first to make sure we have it all even. Remove tape backing and attach. Alright, gonna make the other two. Alright, so next we need to attach our pockets to our tabs. So I always fit it on there before I attach it just to make sure that it fits on there correctly. So when I attach it, I'm going to want to leave a sliver of space, not flush against here because I want them to move back and forth. So again, I'm going to make sure it's about, I should probably attach it and then show you. So we're not going to do that. We'll remove both of the tape backings. And I'll slide this guy on. Yeah. So you can see that slither of a space right there. It's harder to see on this side, but there's a little bit of a space. That's so you can move it back and forth. Alright. So again, I like to just place it on there first before I tape it to make sure it fits. Because if it doesn't fit, once it's stuck, it's harder to get unstuck. And if it needs to be, you can always trim this guy down a little bit to get your pocket, or remake your pocket if you have to. Alright, moving along. Okay, now we have all of our first layer on. Okay, alright, we're going to make the tags. So this is what the tag looks like, and I'm just hand making the tabs for this project. So we cut out our tags, and then we cut out our tab and score it in half. So we're going to fold this in half. And then what I have is We Are Memory Keepers Crocodile Corner Puncher, and I'm using the 1/4 inch side, but any corner rounder will work for this. And then we're adding tape to flush to the ends first on both sides. And then only one piece is needed for the middle part, or the top part. And then for this tag, we're going to have, this is our largest tag, so we're going to have the tab on the right side. So what I do is I just take my ruler and measure just 1/4 inch down to place my tab at. So then I find my line, place it flush to the edge, to the right edge, right on top of that line, and then fold over. And there is our tag. Okay, so do all 4 of those, and then we'll move on to layer number 2. Alright, you see, it's hard to see because of the black, but we got all of our tags in, and now we need to work on layer number 2. Layer number 2 is a lot like layer number 1, except it's just a little bit smaller. So everything is the same. We got our double score lines, and then we're going to cut our squares. And then once we cut our squares, we're going to add tape to the edge of each side. So again, we're going to add our tape flush to the edge. I said flush to the edge. This section doesn't matter as much as the other section, but that's all right. Fold, fold, attach, fold, fold, attach. Yeah, this guy doesn't take too long to get together, to get it together. Oh, I removed the tape before folding. Got ahead of myself. Okay. So this one is a little off as well. Doesn't matter. It's just a tab. So we're just going to trim that off, and you can't even tell that I was a little crooked. So trim, 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 trim. Now this is the one that matters, where you have the tape flush to the edge. So we're going to do both sides of the tabs, flush to the edge, and then we're going to add tape to the back side. It's the side where, the opposite side of where the tabs are. So we're going to go ahead and add our tape to the back side. Alright, so I taped all the tabs, front and back, and the back side. So we're going to just go ahead and take off tape backing to the middle and add a little extra ATG. And center this guy on our box and make sure this is the same. It's going to be 1/4, it's 1/8 inch border, and I'm going to take it off camera so I can see. So I have 1/8 inch border all the way around. Make sure I get a good stick. Okay. Then the pockets. So same as the other pockets. One tab that we cut, score line, angle. So we're going to taper the corners. Add our tape. And tape to our tab and then fold first. Make sure I'm watching to make sure it lines up with that bottom piece right there. That bottom line looks good. Then remove tape backing and fold. All right, do that 3 more times. All right, I got all my pockets done. So now I need to attach. So we're going to attach it the same way. Slide it over our tab. Once it's secure, make sure we have that sliver of an edge showing on both sides, and then we can attach. So let's go ahead and remove the tape backing. Slide this guy right on top. Yeah, there we go. So you can see that. Oh, now can you? It's kind of hard to see. There we go. And then there's the light. You can see that little sliver of an edge. So it moves freely front and back. Always test first, because the moment you don't is the moment it doesn't work. Well, that's my luck anyways. All right. Attach 2 more pages. We're working on the tag, and this time the tab's going to be in the middle. So it's the same thing. The tag is a little bit smaller because it's in the second layer, but the tab is the same size. So we'll make it the same way. Then add our tape. And then we're going to mark the center. I love the Tim Holtz ruler just because it has a center point. So you know where the center of your paper is. And then the measurements are in the tutorial on where to put your ruler. Okay. So then we just line up with our tab, fold over, and there we go. And there's our middle tab. Okay, make the other 2. All right, now that all the tags are done, we'll work on layer number 3. So it's exactly the same thing, just smaller. So again, we have our piece. So cut out all our corners and add tape to our outside pieces. Once the corners are cut and the tape is added, fold down our score lines, then attach our tab together. Once we're all folded up, then we're going to go ahead and taper our corners and add our tape flush to the edge like the other two layers. And then add tape to the back side right here. Alright, now that we got the piece all taped up, we are ready to attach it to the center. Not a whole lot of area, but I'm going to go ahead and add a little more adhesive there. Then we're going to get this back in the middle. So let me hold and look. Again, 1/8 inch space. Alright, that looks good. And we got everything still moving and flowing. Alright, now let's work on pocket. Same thing. Fold on our tab, taper our corners, add our tape. Oops. Trim my tape off. Fold. Make sure we are lining it up. Okay. Then, oops, get that back in there. See if it fits. Perfect, perfect. Okay, slide this guy on. Oh, looks good. See that little bit of space? A little bit of space. Everything's still moving freely. Oh, looking good, looking good. So the tags for this guy are a little bit smaller, just a tad bit, so they shrink down in size. And we're making the tab the same. It's the same size. Let's punch those corners. Adding tape. So I do have two different rolls of tape here. I have my 3/8 inch tape that I'm using for the box, and then I have my it's 1/4 inch tape for my tabs. Getting my tape on. Okay, so this tab is going to be flush to the edge. So I'm going to get my ruler, and I'm just drawing where my 1/4 inch is my line for my tab. So this is just going to go the opposite corner of, so my large tag is to the right, so this one will be attaching to the left. Flush to the edge, and then fold over. there's my third one. I'm going to go ahead and put these two guys back. And there we go. Alright. Now I'm going to finish making this off camera, and then we can work on the matting portion. We are going to mat everything. So I've already cut out all my pieces for the pages and the tags. So the first thing is I got the We Are Memory Keepers Crocodile. I'm going to do 1/4 inch corner punch. So the first thing to do is to punch all of your corners. And then once the corners are punched, we're going to ink the edges. So I have, it's hard to see because it's kind of colored, but it's Distress ink. I got black soot, so it's just black. So I already got some ink on my table, so we'll just ink the edges with the black. And then put the tape on and attach. So what I have is we have I'm going to do all of the pages the same. So the first page I have is this guy mat and this mat. And I'm using the Tim Holtz Halloween paper stash. And then I have the tags. So I'm going to punch the tags as well with the quarter rounder punch. So let me punch these for the first page and ink and add tape. Alright, I have everything punched. So what I'm going to do is I just used my 1/4 inch tape, and then I'm going to take my ATG and add an X to it just for the additional tape, and we're going to attach having a 1/4 inch border all the way around. So we have a 1/4 inch border. Oh, there you go, all the way around. And I'm going to mat the back side. And then the tag. Is my tag facing the right direction? Making sure I just put my right mat on the right side. Alright, so then we got our tag and our pocket matted. So I'm not adding anything to the tab, but you can add stickers or scrap paper. I might check to see my packet to see what's in there. They have some little pieces in it, So I got the Halloween ephemera pack for Tim Holtz, but it has so many pieces, and there are a lot of little pieces in here. You can see just a couple at the bottom here. So I might take some of those and add to the tabs after I open the pack and go through them. So the next 2 pages are the same. At different sizes, of course, but the same technique. You punch the corners, you ink the edges, and then attach. So let me at least get, well, I'm just going to do all of them and then show you when I'm done. And then we're going to decorate, and then I'll show you when I'm done. So I just get everything cut first. Okay. Alright, I have everything matted. So I got our front page, front and back, and then our second page, and then our third. So it's real simple, and all the measurements are on the tutorial, which is on my blog. And now we're going to work on the details, getting the pieces, working on the middle, matting the outside and the lid, and working on the top. So we're going to work on the sides of the boxes to mat them. So what I take is paper from the paper collection, and then there's acrylic sheet and Tim Holtz paper, which is spider web. So we're going to use that on top of it. But first I'm going to put, I got these, oops, Halloween remnant rubs. So I'm taking this guy and putting it in the middle of this one. So I'm going to, so I haven't actually used the remnant rubs. So I just started with this Halloween one, and I am really liking it, adding it to the album and stuff. So it's really easy to use. So I'm going to put this centered the best I can. That's not centered, and I don't think I can take it up. We're gonna see. Well, it says it's centered. How come it doesn't look centered? I'm centering the poison and caution and not the bones. Let's see if I can move this. I might not be able to move it. Nope, it's stuck. That's fine. And the remnant rubs comes with popsicle stick. Okay, and then I added just regular tape to my acrylic piece. Making sure there's no dust on the inside. But if there is, it gives it character. Alright, so I'm going to line it up at the bottom. Alright, and then we're going to paint the edges. Alright, so for the edges I'm using just a little sponge brush, and then Distress Paint Black Soot, which is Tim Holtz. And I'm just adding paint to the tip of my brush only. So I'm going to dab, and then I just dab. I'll go back and forth, pretty much going to cover all the tape first so you can't see it, and then we'll add just a little more extra in the corners. So I'm just doing a dabbing motion. And just keep dabbing, don't smear it. Up and down motion. You don't want to smear it. You can tell. I like the dab. And once we get it framed, then I don't add anything extra. I try lightly just add some extra dots in the corners. So let's see if you can see. So I just added a little extra in the corner. So I dab lightly because I don't want to add a whole lot. Okay. Oops, wrong way. So that's what I have, and then do that to all 4 sides. So anything that you want to add in the middle, do so. I did one piece from the ephemera pack. Oh, went wrong way. Then I have the rub-on, and then I have another rub-on, but I have a spider that I'm going to add. I added just some thread. So I'll have my little spider on here as well. Alright. So I'm going to do all 4 sides, and then I have one side for one of the metal pieces, and so once it's attached, I'll poke holes in it for my brads. So this acrylic's not thick, it's thin just like the paper, so you shouldn't have any problems putting a pokey tool through it. Alright, so get all 4 pieces and then we'll attach them to the sides. Alright, I finished all of my pieces. So you can see the paint on them. So I have 2 of the rub-ons on these guys. And then it's time to attach. So you find your, which side you want your front page to be. So this is the wall I want my front to be. So I'm going to turn it like so. This is going to be my first sheet. And I'm just going to attach it to the center of the page, and that's it. That's all it requires. Because it's acrylic, my light is flashing off of my acrylic. I'm just taking off my tape. Now, all I did with my little word bands is I just added white paint to it and smeared it off a little bit, and then added my brads, and then put tape on the back of my brads. So I used to make my hole, I just used my pokey tool. Was strong enough to go through both layers of the acrylic and the paper. Again, this acrylic is thin, so it's perfect to work with. When it comes to cutting, I use my regular cutter and everything. Alright, so I'm going to, am I still on camera? I'm going to, I can't see very well, so I'm just going to center it up. Alright, there's my first page. Now when you're attaching pieces onto your cover, like say for this one, I made sure that it was far enough down so when the lid is on it, it doesn't cover it. So this guy, so you need to take into fact about your lid piece. Okay, so that's how you cover your side. I'm going to go ahead and cover the rest of them the same way. It doesn't have much of a border. I had it cut almost a perfect size. So there's not really much of a border except a little at the bottom and a little at the top, which is going to be hard to see when you got your lid on there. Alright, I was going to attach all these pieces, but first I wanted to tell you for my second piece, for two sides I do have some spider adornments, Tim Holtz Adornment Halloween. What I did was I stuck some thread, just some black thread on it, and I'm going to have him hang down. I am going to glue him, but before I glue him, I'm going to attach I'm just going to attach the thread to the back side when I attach him, and then attach it down, and then I'm going to glue him so he does have that little bit of string. It's can't see it a whole well in the camera, but I think it makes a difference. You don't need to add it. I'm just adding it for a little bit of touch. So I'm going to attach it first to the back, and then I'm going to glue it. I'm going to do that for both sides. So for this guy, I have him going down, and for my other side, I'm going to have him going up. So on the Tim Holtz ones, you have you have a hole on his back side right there, and then you have a little one right at the top, which is so you can have your guy hanging either way. And I'm using thread because brads are too big. Alright, that's my tip. For the lid, we're going to do the same treatment. So I cut out on my cardstock, and I don't know if I mentioned, but you want to ink your edges first. And then I cut out all my acrylic pieces. Now I know when I'm attaching these to make sure I put my rub-ons first. So I do have one metal piece that I'm attaching, but I want to add, there's some little skulls on my rub-ons I want to add to both sides. So I want to attach that before I attach my acrylic pieces with tape. And then I have these, the Apothecary, Foolish Mortals, Hocus Pocus. So I have these big words that I want to put on the sides. So the only difference between this and the box is I'll probably use smaller tape and use less of a border with the paint, because the border with the box is about, oh, it's kind of blinding, is about 1/4 of an inch. So with this, if I take out 1/4, that only leaves about 1/2 inch in the middle for stuff. So that might still work. I might still do that. My words aren't that big. Yeah, no, I'll do the same border. Okay, so first things first, ink your edges, and then put on your rub-ons if you're going to put on your rub-ons, and then paint the edges like you did the box. So I'm going to work on that. Alright, I have all the pieces on the box completed. And it's hard to see the words, the rub-ons that I have. I have an Undertaker on that one and a skull on that one. And then we move on to our lid. So I already got my pieces done. So painted the edges just has the box, and put my rub-ons on my pieces. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and attach our top piece first. And I'm going to add a little extra adhesive. And then line it up. I'm a little off, but I don't think that's gonna matter. Alright, then I'm going to attach, now my piece that I have on here is a metal piece that I'm just going to glue on there, but if you're going to use one of your word bands, which will actually will work, you might want to attach them before you attach your mats to your box. Alright, then we're going to attach our side. Pretty much just lining it up with the bottom first, and then make sure my sides are even before I attach them. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to attach the other two sides and then glue on my metal guy with some E6000. Alright, so we're going to work on the middle and the inside, which is going to be very similar to the inside of the snow globe that's on the top. So what I did with the snow globe on the top is this removes, and so does this. And what I did was I painted it black. The top of this and the edges, and then the bottom and the edges. Doesn't have to be perfect. But that's what I did with this. So while that's drying, you can work on the middle of this. So what I did is I have a little Tim Holtz gravestone and use the rub-ons for, he has these rub-on pieces that are meant for these gravestones. So these are perfect. So I want that in the middle, and I got a couple of his skulls. And also on the rub-ons are faces for his pumpkins. So I did a couple of faces for the pumpkins. And then I have to glue those. Then I have another face and skull for the back side. So, and what's filling in the gap is going to be the moss. Right now I'm just need to center it the best I can. Figure out where I want my pieces and then add my glue. Oh, looks good like that. Alright. So I'm going to glue my, yeah, those are still good. So I'm going to glue my guy first. So what I did for my glue is I took my E6000 and put it on a plate, and I'm using a toothpick. That's usually how I apply the E6000. Roll my toothpick, roll it in, twist it around to get all the goob gob hair pieces picked up. But because it smells and it's very strong, and if you leave the cap off it just oozes out, that's why I just put a little on the plate and then work with a toothpick. Now you can cover it with mat the bottom with paper, but again I'm going to use some moss and just cover the ground. Now you can stack the Tim Holtz pumpkins, you can stack 3 high, but I did 2 high here because I do 3 high in the globe. And then I'm just spreading it out on the pumpkin. So I got those attached, and then I'm going to get my moss packet. I got this from, it is so messy, I know. I got this guy, this says Moss Collection, and I got it from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to pull some stuff out of the bag first. And then I do have 2 bags. One is this bright green moss, and then I got a more muted color. But this stuff does make a mess. So I'm going to just tear some pieces off. And then add glue on the mat, and then just kind of put it wherever. Added some more glue on my plate here. Now this isn't fast drying glue, so you can take your time and add bits and pieces here and there, and then add more to it. I'm just going to do my big spots first. Now I want to put some moss here, but I don't want to cover up my pumpkin's face. So I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to take this color here. Oh, there we go. I can still see his face. So if I wanted to add a little bit out here, I can do that. It's pretty much just wherever you want to put stuff. And you just glue it down. I'm missing need some more glue. I could zoom in, might be helpful. Oh. Let's get some, there we go. Make him a little bit more sturdy. All right, looking good. I know it's hard to see. some more to our corner here. And then once it dries, I can pick up corners to see what's not glued down and then just add some more glue. I do not want to cover his face. Alright, I'm going to tear some off to go around a little bit more. Oh, looks good. If I want his face to show a little bit more, I might add some glue in the middle of this padding and push down some, or I'm going to leave it like it is. So I'm probably going to put a little bit more over in this section, but you don't need me to show you that anymore. And then for the snow globe, I got the skull and the tombstone, and then 3 of the pumpkins. The light is just bouncing off this guy, but I got 3 of the pumpkins stacked. 2. It's not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. There we go. 2 faces on him, and that's what I got for this guy. And I did not glue these 2 pieces together. So if I later on want to add some spider web, some fake spider web in there, I can do that. Or hang a spider down from the top, I can do that. So this is not glued down. So when I attach it to the top of the box lid, I can untwist it and add more to it if I wanted to. So, and for attaching it to the box, the top lid, I just taped the bottom, and I'm going to add some of the glue to the center of it and then attach it. So, now time to wait for this to dry. Okay, I got a lovely mess on my desk. So what I'm doing is working on the globe. So what I did was I took for the black backdrop of the globe, I took a piece of cardstock, and to get those circles, I took my tape and held it against the edge, traced it, and cut it out. And that's how I got this oval shape. And then I just stuck it in there. I didn't tape it, I didn't glue it, I just laid it in there. Was I off camera when I did that? I just put it in there. That's it. So then I'm going to line it up with my fingers on the bottom to make sure it's even. And then there is a seam on the globe, so I want to make sure that my paper is in the middle of that seam to make it even. And then I'm going to put this guy right on top. And it's gonna have to hold it to get my base on. I might have to do that. Alright, then I got my base on, and to attach to the middle of this guy, I'm going to, I don't want to jostle anything, just in case some things are still wet. So what I did was I added tape to the bottom, And then I'm going to add some glue to the bottom. And I'm removing the tape backing. I'm going to add some glue to the bottom and we're going to attach. So after removing the tape backing, I got my glue on my plate with my toothpick, and I'm going to add the glue in the middle. So I just taped the edges, and then I'm going to add my glue in the middle. I do that because glue likes to seep out, and if you add glue to the middle and the tape to the edges, the glue seeps to the tape and not outside your project. Okay. Let's see here. Then I'm going to eyeball the center. And I'm going to be out of the camera for a minute. I've got to check the back side, the front side. Make sure everything's centered. And hold. So there we go. Last pieces are just, my skull. I'm going to add glue to, and then my little spider, and I'll put him up there with my pumpkin. So this guy's almost done, and then I'll show you the completed project when everything dries. Alright, I'm on my handheld to try and show some details, and it's hard because of the light. But that's the front of it. I got this side. The back. Alright, I'm going to switch my camera view so we can take a look at the inside. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and show you the rest of the pages where I decorated them using either the pieces from the ephemera pack, which is the cards and the skeletons and stuff, and then I used the rub-ons. And so each page, almost each page, has a little something, and then maybe the rub-ons had a couple of words. So it's hard to see in the camera. And then I have some spiderweb dies that I used on this guy. And I just have some words. I left some, here's another spiderweb die. I left some practically blank so you can add your pictures. So I just had a little word there. Another web. And then the tags I just added like a word. Yeah, well, it says lost and found. So that is the album. I do not have kits for this, but I do have a tutorial on my blog, www.webofcreativity.net. And my center turned out really good. Look at that. Look at that. Really good. Okay. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching.